Good evening, friends. Today in front of you and with a very interesting message for all of you. And I want you to listen to this message very, very carefully. If you want, you can ask your family members also to attend this webinar purely because I want to convey a very important message. And for some reason, if they are not able to attend this webinar, please pass on this message to them and they will definitely be thankful to you. So before I start my discussion on this, and of course we'll open the floor for question and answer post my brief presentation. Before I start my webinar, just to have a disclaimer that this webinar is to understand about the equity market, to enhance your understanding about the equity market. Past performance is no indicator of future returns, and investment in securities are subject to market risk. We all know that market is at all-time high. We all know that India's market cap is at all-time high. And it's not only happening in India. Even if you go back to and you look at the data on the US market, very similar kind of returns. In first 6 months, 14-15% kind of a return, which is a very good return. And no one would have expected that kind of returns in the beginning of 2024. Now the problem happens that when the market is bullish, there are challenges that comes with the bull market. Am I right? The way bear market has a challenges, the bull market also has a challenges. And how you navigate that challenges is of the paramount importance. And I thought it's a good wake-up call for all of us to look at those challenges. And that is the reason I thought, let me put this in my this webinar of QnA, helping you to educate. That's the reason I said, if you have your family members, your friends, please ask them to join this. And they'll be really thankful to you because I want to give some advice, want to give you some data points, want to give you some factual data, helping you to navigate the challenges that bull market poses to us. Now, what are the challenges that I have? The bull market creates greedy investors. Bear market creates fearful investors. Bull market creates greedy investors. What type of greed do we have? We want to make more money. We want to be crorepati or abajopati in shortest possible time. And due to that, there are people available in the market who want to exploit your greed. And I'll give you with some example now. And what happens, this, in order to, and you, somehow it's very difficult to control emotions, whether it's a greed or a fear. And in order to become a rich, you tend to give up to the greed. You give up, give away a lot of hard-earned money to the people who want to exploit your greediness. And hence you offer the products or services which promises you to make rich very quickly. We all know that there are some, and of course SEBI came out very heavily on some of the financial influencer, giving data. They were very selective in terms of giving data, kitna paisa banaya. So whenever they went right, they basically showcased that performance. Whenever they did not go right, they did not disclose that performance. So my point is that there are people even now in the market who want to exploit your greed. Second thing, challenge of the market, that one, we create an illusion of being an expert. Why? Because you must have bought something. That script did very well. You started thinking, I become expert in the market. I know the market much better than what I used to know about the market. Because success catches on confidence, am I right? But unfortunately, the confidence very soon become an overconfidence. The history is full of examples where people in the bull market borrowed money from your friends, relatives, putting your house under mortgage, putting your wife's jewelry under mortgage to put money in the equity market. You tend to go towards more riskier assets. And eventually, it ends up badly. Now, why I'm saying this to you people? Because I've come across 3 cases of the investors to whom we know have fallen prey to this kind of they could not control the greed, and they've fallen prey to the people who wanted to exploit the greed. We don't have to make mistakes to learn. We sometimes can learn from other people's mistakes also. And hence this message I wanted to give you. So Warren Buffett said a very nice thing, and this is not he said now. Many years back, that rising tide floats all boats. Am I right? जब समुद्र में हाई टाइड आती है तो सभी बोट को ऊपर लेके जाती है. Only when the tide goes out you discover who is swimming naked. And I think it's a very critical statement. It's very relevant at this point of time, because people have become more and more greedy, thinking that they have become expert, they understand the market better, or there are people waiting to get exploited. I keep getting messages, कि तुम्हारा इतना पैसा double हो जाएगा. This is the kind of nonsensical thing keeps happening. I keep receiving phone calls, and that gives me an understanding that how well spread this the network is to exploit the greediness of the. I don't know where they get the data also. I'll be very honest with you. How do they know that I have investment in stock market? There must be some data getting leaked from somewhere. But that is what is happening. Now, these are not, I'm just saying hearsay. These are not, I'm saying, I'll give you some news article that got published in the various platforms. And let me start one by one. This article was published in Times of India on 22nd June 2024. Today is what? 25th June, 3 days back. Men loses 94 lakhs in trading scam that started with this WhatsApp group. क्यों करना भाई? Economic Times, 18th June. Stock market scam, 70-year-old Thane resident loses 2 crore in WhatsApp fraud. 70 years person, why does he need to be go for something which 2 crore रुपया को छोटा amount होता नहीं है. One of our customer lost 4.5 crore in 3 months because he thought that he can double the money in a forex trading. Forex trading, can you imagine that? Live example I can give you. I don't want to name the gentleman, but 4.5 crore. That's not all. We all know that there is one gentleman called Ambar Dalal, 900 investors, almost 1,000 crore lost. What he was giving, he promising return of 2% monthly returns. Very recently, yesterday, day before yesterday, some of the assets of Mr. Ambar Dalal have been seized. by the investing authority. But 1,000 crore कहाँ पे वो 36-37 crore का था. This is on March 19th. March 17, seasoned stock market traders fall victim to massive online fraud. Am I right? 70-year central government employee 3.75 crore and 43-year-old private accountant 1.1 crore. ये कोई छोटा अमाउंट नहीं है. Am I right? And this article got published in Deccan Herald on March 17. So my request to all of you, सबको पैसा बनाना है. Am I right? Everyone wants to be rich. Nothing wrong with that. But understand the risk you are taking to generate that returns. What is the credentials? इसने बनाया तो मैं भी बनाऊं. There is a race going on. People are very smart. They are exploiting your psychology. Even your friends sometimes can fool you. Why? Because he will only talk about those trades where he is making money. And he will give you some kind of an inferior complex. Well, तू पैसा नहीं बनाया, हर देख मैं तो इतना पैसा बना दिया, क्या बेवकूफ आदमी है तू. He will never tell you जो 5 करोड़ उसका नुकसान बनाया है. Because we want to massage our ego. We want to boast about where we have gone right. And we fall victim to this kind of a greediness. So, I'm talking based on the live example I've come across. I'm talking to you based on the news article published in leading known, I'm not talking about social media पे छपा उसकी बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. Known publications in the country, reputed publication in this country putting this kind of a story. कुछ तो सीखो. खुद गलती करके सीखे इससे अच्छा दूसरे की गलती से सीखो. And that's the important message I wanted to convey to all of you. Please convey this message to your relatives, your friends, family members. There are people outside who want to exploit your greediness. Don't fall victim to them. Otherwise, you will definitely. Sometimes not making kam paisa is fine, but it should not come at the cost of your capital. It may look very tempting to invest in this market by mortgaging your house, mortgaging your jewelry, mortgaging your other assets. Please don't do that. Please do not borrow money to invest in the equity market. आप लोग सबको मेरी हाथ जोड़ के विनती है मत कीजिए वो. I have nothing to lose in the process, but you can lose big time money. So, and that's where I said you need to control your greediness now. Sometimes we will get out of a good assets to invest in a bad company, because good company may not make that kind of returns so in short term, but that not so great company, will promptly. I know many investors and that happened in 2000 Y2K boom. It happened in 2007, 2008 Y2K, the global financial crisis, where investors sold good quality companies to chase some of the not so great momentum stocks. What happened? The moment you get out of a good quality company, because वो क्या होता है, जो ना पैसा डबल नहीं हो रहा है, मेरा पैसा स्क्रिप्ट नहीं जा रही है ऊपर. What should I do? What should I do? And you get out. And the moment you get out, in next couple of months, what happens? The script starts falling very badly. I'll give you a classical example that happened. Again, based on my experience. Many people sold Titan to get into PC jewelers. क्या हुआ भाई? टाइटन थोड़ी डबल होने वाला है, पीसी ज्वेलर्स डबल होने वाला है, ट्रिपल हो जाएगा एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. दैट्स आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट फ्यू इयर्स बैक. People sold HDFC at that time. That was listed entity. Now it got merged with HDFC Bank to get into Dewan Housing Finance. What happens? People sold TCS and Infosys to get into Wakarangi. What happens? I can give you example after example, this kind of a same sector, and people wanted to say, "Arey, ye mein to paisa nahi, isme aisa banega." They sold the blue chip to get into this. So at least one is that you do on your own, and second thing, you get lured by these people who are there to exploit your greediness. Please be careful. That's what my request to all of you. Coming back to the normal stuff now. Last 1 week, you can see Bank Nifty. I mentioned that somewhere slowly and steadily Bank Nifty and Bank Nifty Finance are making a comeback. If you remember that, I discussed that I think on last Friday किया था. I mean कभी किया था discussion. We did discuss that Friday. Okay, and slowly you see they are on the top of the. Look at the difference. The next best sector is Nifty IT 1.8. But these are 4.1 and 4.3. So look at the quantum of outperformance just in 1 week. I did talk about the sector rotation, and that exactly started happening. So while Bank Nifty is up by 4.3%, as you can see. Oh God. Okay. 1 second. Let me put this. 4.3%. The PSU Bank is down by 1.9%. Can you see? So that's what is happening right now in the market. PSU also coming under pressure. Like if you look at the PSU index, 3.2%. If you look at the CPSE, 2.5%. Somewhere there is a sector rotation happening. Need to be little careful, because I don't want you to, the recency bias always forces us to invest on those sectors which has done extremely well. Am I right? And then some sector rotation, if this continues, you will have a tough time. And if you look at the mid cap is down by 0.5%, even though the mid and small cap, the large and small cap did very well. This is the thing. Coming back to the YTD, realty is still on the top of the chart, but we keep hearing now that some of the supply side is increasing in realty. We don't know how far the momentum will get sustained going forward. The gap between the mid and small cap now narrowed 24.9 and 22%, and both large cap is up by near about 8.2 to 9 point kind of stuff. And IT and FMCG continues to be in the red, while all the other indices are in green. And Bank Nifty, because of 1 week performance now, which started very closer to the outperformance, will start outperforming. At least it's outperformed the Sensex. But look at this data. It has outperformed the Sensex and very close to the Nifty 50. Am I right? So slowly, and Nifty Finance is now in the much better as compared to Nifty 50. So slowly and steadily, some of the laggards are making a comeback in the market. I would not be surprised if IT and FMCG both move to the green in the next couple of months. FIIs have turned positive, only about 14,000 crore till now in June. There are three main reasons why FIIs have made some positive inflows. Number one is that Chinese economy was looking to be very promising. And due to that, some of these funds were going into China. China seems to be now faltering in terms of growth. We all know that copper prices have come down by almost 12 to 15%, and hence the money that should have logically gone to China is again making a comeback to making entry to the Indian market. Number one. Number two, the post-election result, FIIs which have sold, now they believe, okay, there is the government which is going to last for 5 years. There will be continuation of reforms and so on and so forth. And hence the flow is positive. And number three, sir, some block deals have taken place. And that block deals have been lapped up by the FII. That's the three main reasons why FIIs have put in about 15,000 crore in the month of June. I'm not very sure this inflow will get sustained going forward. But the fact is that they have put in about 14,000 crore. So with this, and if you look at since 10th June, they have pumped in about 26,000 crore. So that's a substantial amount that we have received in last 10-15 days. 26,000 crore is not a small amount by any stretch of images, and that's what the money that has come in. So with this, let's open the floor for question answer. Yeah. Market on the rise. Suslam, can we book some profit, especially in small and mid cap? I don't think it's a brainer, sir. We have stated what we did in our PMS. We actively book profit in mid and small cap, and even in some of the case large caps also, because we wanted to lock in the profits. Number one. Number two, just don't blindly book profits in mid and small cap. The reason why you got into that company, if that reason no longer holds true, then please lock in the profit. That's what my advice would be. So if you think some of the companies, and especially in mid and small cap, that has happened. Some of the mid and small cap companies are running little ahead of the fundamentals. And if that is so, it makes a lot of sense to lock in the profits. So please do that, but it's not completely blanket locking in profits. Look at the companies that you hold in the portfolio, and if they run a little ahead of the fundamentals, please lock in the profits. There is a high probability that you may get that company at a lower valuation in going forward. In fact, we advise something similar in 2022 for chemical companies, and many of these companies are available at very good. So something similar can happen in mid and small cap also. Venkata Ramu sir is asking what we may expect from the stock market investors' point of view from the budget. How can investor position himself from this point? Please guide. So it's a good question, sir, and I think we may expect something from the government, and government may have different compulsions. So there are a few things that I would expect. What should we expect from the market point of view? I think one thing which is very clear cut that I want finance ministers to spell out very clearly about consistency. We do not want a budget which creates an uncertainty. You clearly spell out how you would like to treat capital gain. Maybe you can give a guideline कि इस साल में 3 साल में हम लोग ये करना चाहते हैं, कि 2 साल में हम लोग ये करना चाहते हैं. Please give a glide path. The way you give fiscal deficit का glide path, please give it on capital gain. So what is your thought process there? Why do we need to have a speculation about capital gain every budget? Remove that uncertainty, give that clarity. What is wrong in terms of giving clarity? Number one. Number two, increase consumption in the economy. It's very badly needed. What is the best way you can do that? Put more money in the hands of the customers, of the consumers, of the taxpayers. Once you do that, that money will come in the economy. And anyway, government will not lose any revenue. Why? Because GST will compensate for that. Because if you consume, you are going to pay GST on that. That money will go to the government. The more capex will happen, more interest, and so on and so forth. So I think it will be really, it's a need of the hour. Number three, what should we expect? Spend on the infrastructure. If India has to be really successful on China plus one policy, we need to take care of two things. One is the power cost, and second thing, the logistic cost. Otherwise, you can't be competitive on China. And yesterday I was listening to one of the textile exporter giving an interview to the CNBC, Gokaldas Exports. And the gentleman was making a very clear-cut statement that people from the Western world don't want to rely too much on China, and they are exploring India as one of this. But that can only be possible if India offers a very competitive pricing, both in terms of power and logistic cost. If we don't do that, there is no way we can compete. So what are the expectations, what we may expect from the stock market point of view? I think clarity in terms of how you wish to take capital. Don't do any changes, but at least give us the path. What is your thought process behind how you would like to text this? Number one. Number two, spend money on infrastructure. And if that happens, it will benefit the which sector, and put more money in the hands of the taxpayer, because that we need a consumption boom to happen. These are the three main. Of course, there will be some other things which I don't want to right now, but these are three key highlights. And how should investor position himself from this point of view? See, remember, one should never invest or exit from the market because of budget expectation. Budget आएंगे जाएंगे. You don't invest in the market for one day event. You invest in the market to create a very sustainable long-term wealth. So how you should position? Very simple. Look at those companies which has a great potential to go forward. We did mention about some of the sectors like railway, defense, banks and finance is making a comeback. FMCG could be a dark horse. Pharma could be another, because India want to be the pharmacy of the world, and so on and so forth. Look at those kind of sectors and create. You should not create investment in the market purely based on one day event. I hope that makes it very clear, Venkat Ramul sir. Ravi Kiran sir, so on the website, if you go, it's a 1 crore. But if you are a Mojo PMS customer or Mojo Infinity customer, Market Mojo customer, the ticket size is 50 lakhs. So we can onboard you even with 50 lakhs in our PMS, sir. If you want, I can ask someone to reach out to you and explain you the features of our PMS. मुझे इनका details भिजवा दीजिए. मैं I'll ask someone to reach out to you, sir. Yeah. Tulasi Ram, Namaskaram Sunil ji. How does higher redemption affect the NAV of a fund? To my understanding, NAV is the average price of a group of stocks plus the expenses of the fund house. Kindly explain, sir. Pranam. Pranam Tulsi Ram, sir. So how does the NAV affect? If there is a redemption, you're holding certain stock in the portfolio. If there is a redemption, the fund manager, to meet the redemption amount, has to liquidate the stock. He can't time the market. He'll be forced to exit from that stock or the set of stocks at whatever price is available. When you sell the stock on that, the price further comes down. And that affects the NAV, because NAV is a function of the price, market price. So redemption will create sell pressure will create lower the price of the, so even if you don't exit from all the company from that, it will still impact this, am I right? The stocks which you are holding. And that brings down the prices. So if there is a heavy redemption, normally we have seen NAV takes beating, because the more selling pressure creates a downward price pressure on the stocks on that, and that impacts the NAV. And hence one should be, and of course I know from where you are coming from, one of the leading PMS, there is some SEBI investigation happening that could create a pressure, and that's where I think you are coming from. So that's how it happens, sir. More redemption, more selling pressure, downward price impact, and downward price impact means the lower value of the stocks that mutual fund is holding in that portfolio. AKS Jai Sri Krishna Sunil Bhai, SB and HDFC raised their deposit rates to attract deposits. In the coming 3 months, we can expect the rate reduction cycle to start. Earlier this year, you had mentioned that it is not a healthy scenario for private banks and that may underperform the indices. What has caused your opinion to change and become optimistic about the private sector banks? So there are a couple of things which has happened, sir. Number one is that I think the Indian economy seems to be showing a lot of resilience. And if Indian economy is to show a lot of resilience, the engine to fund that growth is a banking channel. Number one. Number two, I think the price have corrected very significantly in some of the private sector banks and the NBFCs. And I must make the disclaimer here, we have started buying some of the private sector banks and NBFCs in our portfolio, in PMS portfolio I'm referring to. Because, and it's not that we started buying today, we have started building a position in last 15 to 20 days. Because of this, that we believe the valuations become very, very this, and there will be a growth. Number three, we do get a sense, and of course I must also make one this, we actively locked in some of the profits in PSU bank. It's not that we have completely exited, but we have actively locked in some of the profits in the PSU bank. We only because the valuations become little rich to some extent, number one. Number two, there are signs that is emerging. It's very difficult to say now that there could be a higher credit cost for the public sector bank. And if that is so, I think they may not be able to sustain the valuations. So that's the thing that we see. And last but not the least, I think what is happening, that capex cycle seems to be making a comeback. So if our sense is that, we are right now at 75-76% capacity utilization. And if this growth continues in the economy, eventually there will be a need for more funds to this one. And if that happens, the corporate side of the books, which was not growing for the banks, may start seeing some kind of a movement. So that's the reason I have become optimistic, or we have become optimistic on the private sector bank and NBFCs. Shailesh sir is saying, hi, my question is about how much money should I invest in Mojo stocks? That is top stocks, momentum, reliable, hidden stocks, kindly guide us. So sir, there is no standard formula for this, I must tell you, because it depends very from the risk appetite of a customer. If you are a very conservative investor, invest only in Mojo stocks and to some extent reliable, and then you can choose what percentage. If you are a little moderate, maybe you can invest higher percentage of Mojo stock and reliable and smaller percent in momentum and turnaround stocks. If you are very aggressive investors, maybe you can put higher allocation to the turnaround and the momentum, a little lower percentage in the Mojo and a reliable, Mojo stocks and reliable. You are very, very aggressive, just put in hidden turnaround and the momentum. So, sir, Shailesh sir, it's a function of what is your risk appetite. And based on your risk appetite, you should basically put allocation. But my request to all of you is that please take a portfolio approach. See, unfortunately, why retail investors never made money, or that's not a right statement, never made money, but not made as much as money that they should have actually made, because they have always looked at the stock specific. They never looked at the portfolio approach. They always took a stock approach. ये कंपनी कैसा लग रहा है, ये कंपनी कैसा लग रहा है. But the moment you take portfolio approach, what happens? Then you will become very conscious of the fact that what kind of market cap exposure I am taking, what kind of sector exposure I am taking, what kind of stock specific exposure I am taking, and so on and so forth. So what would happen? That will make a very balanced portfolio. जैसे हम लोग बैलेंस डाइट की बात करते हैं ना, वैसे वो बैलेंस पोर्टफोलियो बनता है. एंड ड्यू टू दैट योर रिस्क वर्सेस रिटर्न विल बी मच मोर अलाइंड. But many times, Shailesh sir, अपने को पता ही नहीं कि what kind of investor I am. Whether I am a conservative, whether I am aggressive, whether I am a very aggressive, whether I am a very, पता ही नहीं, कभी consciously हम लोग कभी सोचा ही नहीं कि अब लोग क्या है. So first thing you need to decide what kind of investors am I. How much risk appetite I have. What percent of capital I can basically afford to lose. And that will give you an answer. Once you know what kind of investors, then the journey starts. And then you will think, कितना मुझे allocate reliable में करना है, कितना hidden में करना है, turnaround में करना है, कितना momentum में करना है, कितना मुझे mojo stock में करना है. So first ask right question. When you ask a right question, you get a right answer. And that question that you need to ask yourself, not to anyone else, because that's where you will get the answer. Am I right? So first you define you as an investor, what is it? And second thing, define the time horizon. I give you a classical example, and this is all learnings that we are in our PMS. People come, they want to create a long-term wealth creation. But 2-3 महीने में ही that long-term becomes a very short-term view. अरे ये स्क्रिप्ट नहीं चल रहा है, ये नहीं हो रहा है, वो नहीं हो रहा है. And that's where I get little worried. First thing, you have not understood the product. Second thing, you are hugely mistaken if you are coming to the equity market for a couple of months. Wealth creation doesn't happen in 2 months, 3 months. वॉरेन बुफे का आप देखोगे ग्राफ, कितने साल लगे उसको वेल्थ बनाने के लिए. फॉर 5 years in a row, his wealth from the equity was lower than what it was there 5 years back. He did not lose heart. He followed the process. Unfortunately, हमें process follow नहीं करना है. Everyone wants to take a shortcuts. और फिर eventually पैसा नहीं बनता because you have taken a shortcuts. So, Shailesh ji, ask yourself what kind of investors you are, and based on that, higher the risk. Then if you want to go for higher, go for hidden stock and momentum. If you want to be a little conservative, go with mojo stocks and reliable performer. And that then you can decide allocation. There is no scientific formula that I have that I can give it to you. Pankaj sir is saying, please cover SME IPOs. So I must tell you, there is a reason why we don't cover SME IPOs. And I'm making a statement here, fully aware what I'm saying. Many of the SME IPOs will not be existing 3 to 5 years down the line. How do we analyze SME IPOs? Neither they have a very long history, nor their numbers are that big that we can make a meaningful conclusions. So SME IPOs are more like in fact, in many cases, not all I'm saying, but in many cases there is more of a speculative element. The listing price is not a function of its fundamentals, it's a function of what is the speculative element in that counter. And hence, we don't cover SME IPOs. Because वो fundamental का function ही नहीं है. Am I right? And again I repeat, 3 to 5 years, many of these SME IPOs will not be there. I give you a classical example. When I started my career in the equity research professionally, many NBFCs, granite companies, many smaller IPOs, 3 crore ka steel companies, mini steel company, 3 crore ka, so those days the requirement would minimum 3 crore capital, 25% dilution, 75 lakhs ka IPO. Many came. 90% of them, or I would say 90% of them, are not being traded also today. Something similar can happen with SME IPOs. Yes, it looks very tempting, am I right? And that's where you need to control your greed. Bainas Mamil says, sir, happy evening. Can we buy food stock in Mojo list at the current price, or you can wait for price to lower? Please advise. Thanks. If it is a Mojo stock, it's no brainer. Please go ahead and buy. You don't have to think too much about it. Please go and buy. Mahendra Singh is saying, you have raised a very crucial point about avoiding the traps of WhatsApp and Telegram. I use Markets Mojo from the beginning and have been following your team on money control, whether I am making money or not. I am happy to be with all because I know that I am the best with the best team. The money will come and it's already they have started to show in my portfolio. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir, for your compliment. And I think what Mahendra Singh is saying, I think we all need to learn from his wisdom also, saying that process is more critical than the outcome. If your process is right, outcome has to be good in the long term. If your process is wrong, in the short term you may make money, eventually you lose money. And as he rightly said, he's used the word traps of WhatsApp and Telegram. There are many WhatsApp and Telegram are running, will lure you with the very promising kind of a stuff. We don't know where they would be. Many of them would be there as and when the market corrects. You will not be able to catch hold of them, and it's a very, and sometimes there is a nexus between some of the operators and this WhatsApp and Telegram channels. They want investors to buy in those companies so they can get an exit. And eventually, वो बोलते हैं बकरा, वो आप बन जाओगे. So you are absolutely dots on Mahendra Singh sir. You are absolutely right. And that's the reason I covered this critical point, because I've come across 3 customers which I know personally, and then I've been reading this, and I thought it's our duty to bring to our investors notice what's happening in the market. Kalpit Patel sir is saying, everyone talking about the correction in the market, can it possible? Because it's still IT sector reliance not passing the current rally. What is your view, sir? So, based on my little experience in the market, if everyone expects correction, correction never happens. Am I right? Correction happens, it takes you by surprise. So if everyone, what you are saying is everyone talk about correction, then I don't think you should expect a major correction. And you are right, forget about why IT, why Reliance, even banking have not performed. Private sector banks, if you look at last 18 months or so, they have not participated only. They are basically same level what they were, or much below what they were actually. So, and that's why I talked about Kalpit sir. I talk about the sector rotation. If you heard me in the beginning of my presentation, I talk about sector rotation, and I think that's going to play out. So what can happen? Market may not correct, but sector rotation can happen, and that could frustrate the investors. So there could be no correction, there could be sector rotation, there could be time corrections, and that can happen in the market. That's very much possible. So visually you don't see correction, but there is a correction happening because of time and because of sector rotation. Abhishek, that was a great insight. Which sector will do well? We continue to believe defense, railways, pharma, FMCG could be a dark horse, private sector banks, NBFCs, capital goods and infra, they may do very well. And these are the same sector that most of them we mentioned in the beginning of 2024. We believe that should. See, remember, there's one good thing that can happen in this budget. That's what my belief, and I know our finance minister is not obliged to, do what I'm suggesting. Am I right? But somewhere I do get a sense that one should expect some kind of an relief on the income tax front. And if that happens, I think it will help to boost the consumption cycle. And that's a very good thing. Now, at the same time, also I read one article which says that Government of India in Manrega, instead of giving cash to the beneficiary in the Manrega, they might offer a rice, which is not a good for the consumption cycle. Why? Because money you go out and spend. Rice को आपको consume करना पड़ेगा. So we need to wait and watch what government actually does in terms of if they can put more money in the hand of the aam aadmi, more money will flow into the system, and that could be beneficial. That's what. So I think that's the FMCG, the consumer durable, they could be the beneficiary if that happens. So these are the 4-5 sectors which we believe should do well. Narayan Kamath, Sunil, thanks for the invaluable information you said at the beginning of this webinar. Based on your advice to book profits, how to decide what to sell based on the Mojo rating? Okay, it's a brilliant question, sir. If the Mojo rating is 70 and above, you don't have to book profit. If the score is 60 and the 60 and above, and scrip is performing well, don't lock in the profits. If the scrip score is below 60 and the scrips started falling, please lock in the profits. Very simple formula. Your views on monsoon progress and its effect on rural demand and consumer sector. Please enlighten. So you are right, sir, that the monsoon is not progress as quickly as it was expected. And there is a reason for that. If you remember in one of my webinars, I did mention that the monsoon, because of El Nino, the second half of monsoon season will be better as compared to the first half. And I'm very hopeful that this time the monsoon will be either normal or above normal. And this is not only that. When do I get this confidence? Because when I look at some of the weather agency, whether from India or from abroad, they are all saying that El Nino is over officially and there will be La Nina. And that makes me believe that monsoon would be normal or above normal. Now, if that is so, you are right, there will be a demand for the ruler, there will be demand for the consumer, because more money in the hands of the consumer, they should do well. And in fact, it has a cascading effect in the sense, demand for, like if you, I don't know whether you are aware or not, the demand for scooter is better as compared to the motorcycle. Am I right? Now, if the demand for the motorcycle has to increase, it will increase morely purely because of the demand from the rural sector. So, if the rural sector does well, then the equation can undergo change. Because more people in the rural India prefer bikes because of sturdiness and because of better mileage as compared to the scooter. So that can help the two-wheeler, that can help tractor, that can help agrochemical, that can help fertilizer, that can help NBFCs because more loan and so on and so forth. Cement, you'll be surprised, one of the biggest demand for cement comes not from the infrastructure project, comes from the rural housing. So how the rural housing happens is that a person, when he makes money, he starts, and this is what explained to me by one of this NBFC company who has a lot of exposure in the rural market. तो बोलते हैं क्या होता है सुनील भाई, आदमी पहले घर बनाता है गांव में, एक ही बना, उस पर कुछ +1 नहीं बनता, ग्राउंड फ्लोर भी बनाता है, थोड़ा पैसा आता है खेती बाड़ी करके कुछ इनकम के, बाजू में एक कमरा बना देता है. Once he makes more money, he will make one more floor above that, maybe chota sa. Then he will keep expanding. That's how this. So rural demand, the rural housing demand is one of the biggest drivers for the cement consumption. So cement will do well, can do well. Steel can do well. We discussed about consumer durable that can do well. These are the things which can help. These are the sectors that can get benefit because of this. So it's not only direct benefit of the good monsoon, there are indirect benefit also. And if there is a more demand from the rural market, the government tax revenue will go up. And if they go up, they will spend more on the infrastructure. So the benefits are multifold. So it's not that you should restrict only to few sectors. I think the benefit, direct and indirect, are much more better, sir. Nirav Desai, please cover Rakesh Junjunwala portfolio of 35 years, like we did Warren Buffett portfolio. I don't know, sir, we covered Warren Buffett portfolio or not. But, what do you want us to cover in Rakesh Junjunwala? This is all available in the public domain. Rakesh Junjunwala, where he has more than 1% stake, his family, it's all available in the public domain. I don't think I'll be able to do more value addition to that. But there are few things that I will like you to observe that. Number one, and based on what wealth that has been created based on the holding of Rakesh Junjunwala, you need only 1 or 2 stocks in the portfolio to change the color of the portfolio. So if you look at Rakesh Junjunwala portfolio, Titan played a very significant role in terms of wealth creation. Am I right? What price he got in, and also from his own, Rakesh Junjunwala also made mistakes. not all stocks in his portfolio created wealth, because these are the learning that you need to accept, because sometimes क्या होता है, हमारा तो दिमाग में यही है कि हम गलत नहीं जा सकते हैं. नंबर वन. नंबर टू, ऑल कंपनी दैट आई एम बाइंग हैज टू मल्टी बैगर. होता ही नहीं है भाई. वॉरेन बुफे का नहीं हुआ है, राकेश झुंझुनवाला का नहीं हुआ, तो आपका कौन है? In fact, Warren Buffett has said, in fact, I covered in one of my webinars also, he said you should be consider yourself a lucky, even if you're able to get one multi-bagger in 5 years or 6 years, that kind of stuff, he made a statement. पर हमें तो हर एक कंपनी मल्टी-बैगर चाहिए. You know, the company that I'm going to invest in should be वो सोना बन जाना चाहिए. जैसे मैं टच उसको सोना बन जाए. नहीं होता है. I think these are the things which you need to, in fact, if you want, I can say what are the pitfalls of, or how you should have an expectation of creating based on Rakesh Junjula and Warren Buffett portfolio, analyzing how you see in Warren Buffett also many companies in his portfolio did not make money as much as despite holding for a longer period of time. And so is the case with Rakesh Junjula. And I know some companies where he had to book losses because script did not move as per the expectation and he got out of it. But the big wealth, of Rakesh Junjula came from Titan. And it's available in the public domain. But if you want, I can make one webinar on what are the learnings from Rakesh Junjula and Warren Buffett portfolio. Maybe if that's a good suggestion, Niravji, I can do that. See, only one thing, Niravji, I've been keep promising you, I'll do this webinar, I'll do that webinar. Unfortunately, I'm not getting enough time to work on it. In fact, one webinar which have been long pending from my side is a power of compounding. And I have promised and I'm not able to honor my promise. In fact, I said I will do it, but due to a lack of, because other engagements are making me so busy, I have not been able to work on it. Not started working PPT. See, remember, when you start working PPT, it's not a one-day job. A lot of thought process go. You need to structure the PPT. You have to put the thought process. You need to collect the data. It does take a time. But I think it's a good suggestion. Maybe I'll try to cover just learnings from the Rakesh Junjula and Warren Buffett portfolio. It's a good suggestion. Just must remind me, Amil, I need to put in my pending list. Srinivas is saying very and wonderful. All the defense and leverage stocks are at high valuation. Can we buy at this valuation? So I would not agree with your statement that all are at all-time high valuation. Some are still available at the attractive valuation, but most of them are commanding a rich valuation. I must tell you also, in our PMS also, we want to buy some of the defense companies. We do like some of the defense companies, but we will get into them at the appropriate price. We will not go ahead and buy left, right, and center. But there are few pockets within defense and railway does offer a good entry point even now. But you are right, many of them are commanding a rich valuation and hence wait for corrections. Vinod, sorry, saying as sector rotation is happening and auto sector is facing some profit booking. I have large cap auto sector company which is gaining market share from its peers, should continue to hold or lighten my position. Again, go back to the same philosophy. If this company is gaining market share, that means it's gaining market share at the cost of others. Am I right? So as long as the company is gaining market share, you should not be bothered. In fact, I did this analysis in my future trend analysis in one of the webinars, I think in the month of May or so. And I did mention, as long as in auto is all about gaining markets. If the company is gaining market share, then why do you need to lock in profit? But if you believe now it was gaining market share, you may not gain market share, then it's a different story. So that's a question that you need to answer. Will it stop gaining market share? Then book lock in profits. If it continue to gain market share, don't lock in the profits. Kakug sir is saying, respected Sunil ji, you give true guidance to the investor. Thanks a lot, sir. You will be, why we are so much popular, why we are one of the most leading financial advisor, investment advisor, equity advisor in the country. Because people have observed us. during COVID time, we talk what is in the interest of the customers, what is in the interest of the investors. We are the one, we will give advice what is right for the investors, not what is right for us. And people do value that. And we will always give right advice, whether it's a Mohit, whether it's a Joyce, and the complete team at Markets Mojo and Mojo PMS have clear-cut philosophy. Do what is right for the investors, not what is right for us. We have sometimes taken so much financial hit also because we believe what is right for the investors. Like for example, Infinity Service, when you closed down Infinity Service, where we could have get crores of rupees as a revenue from that, because we always used to charge Infinity the portfolio value higher than the 6 months, but we did not charge that. We said no, let's start, and we started move to the PMS, because so sometimes there is a dilemma between, because sometimes it's not completely what is good for the investor may not be good for us, but he said no, eventually people will appreciate what we are doing, and that's the reason today we get a lot of love and respect from our customers purely because we talk what is in the interest of the customers and investors. And thanks a lot, sir, for your compliment, and thanks for appreciating what we are doing, because many times we do come across customers who don't appreciate what we are doing, but then good luck to them. We only advise to them, you try what is you think this is not right, be so you soon will realize how sensible we were when we advise you what is good for you. Thanks a lot for your compliment, sir. Alan Sir is saying Hyundai India IPO can affect other auto stock. Please share your view. Not necessarily, sir, that it can affect. It's all depending upon what valuation Hyundai comes in. Sometimes, it can also help to re-rate the sector. Am I right? Not necessarily that it could be a detrimental. So it's all depending upon what price and what valuation the Hyundai wants to come in. It's a good quality company coming in, and which will also help to benchmark the other companies also within the auto space. So I don't think you should look at purely because of it's a negative. I don't think that's the way you should look at it. Amir tells me that there are more questions, am I right? But in the interest of the time, we need to conclude. Is that my understanding right, Amir? Yes, okay, we do have more questions, but in the interest of the time, we will need to conclude this webinar. Thanks to everyone taking time out and attending this webinar. On Thursday, as usual, we have an exclusive webinar for our PMS customer. So please do join all PMS customer on Thursday. As you all know that on Thursday, we do exclusive webinar only with the PMS investors. We don't invite other members. It's an exclusive club of PMS members. And so please do join me, those who are with PMS, on 7 p.m. on Thursday. Rest of you, again, I'll come back to you next week and we'll discuss again. Next Tuesday, I'm doing Equity Outlook. Everyone is most welcome. That's on 2nd June. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
2nd June, I'm doing an Equity Outlook. Please come and join me. And next Friday, I'm doing again QnA with Sunil Damania. So you have a schedule of mine. You can block your calendar so that you can listen to our advice. Good night. Take care.